left, right, left, left, left,
Yeah, she was just walking down the street singing do-a-dee-dee-dee-dum-dee-dee-dum, popping her fingers and shuffling her feet singing do-a-dee-dee-dee-dum-dee-dee-dum. She looked good, she looked good, she looked fine, she looked good, she looked fine, and I nearly lost my mind.
Back off, Brent. I'm a scientist.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Sweetness, I was only joking when I said I'd like to mash every tooth in your head.
Welcome to T-Bone's Best of Roanoke show. Music, comedy, and conversation featuring HB, the Honey Badger.
Honey Badger don't care.
Now, on with the show.
He's Brent Stevens, professor at Hollins University and host of At the Movies, WFIR Radio, every Thursday and Friday morning, 8:28 a.m. Brent, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Tim.
Welcome to HB&I's show, the Best of Roanoke show. And by the way, Brent, I got to tell you, listening to your At the Movies on WFIR, that's where we learned about the documentary about World War I believe it was called We Shall Never Grow Old.
Right, the Peter Jackson, right?
Peter
right?
Jackson.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Peter Jackson. Yeah.
It's a great movie.
Yeah, just summarize that real quick. Just a thumbnail sketch for somebody who maybe missed it when it ran through Grandin.
Well, he's got all that Hobbit, Lord of the Rings money, and he poured it into restoring 100 hours of footage. That's really all they had of the British experience in World War I to build it from. And they did everything they could to make it look contemporaneous, including hiring actors from the regions where they thought the soldiers on screen were from to kind of do the hubbub in the background so that you see this footage and it's got a real feeling to it.
Well, boys, it's summertime and the living is easy, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it's time to talk a little bit about summer movies. Brent, how would you characterize, what is the concept of a summer movie?
Well, I teach for a living, so summer movies have always been a big part of my life. It's like representative of, I can finally go to the multiplex in the Grandin and see what I want to see all the time. But yeah, it really, I think it just represents this wide open horizon for people. I mean, obviously not everybody, but for kids, especially when I was a kid, it was really, really a big part of how I occupied my summers.
Right. Yeah.
Is there, the blockbusters that you have come out, I mean, is there a season for it or is it expanded? Because when I was growing up, it always seemed like everything was kind of like centered around the 4th of July weekend, but now it seems like it's spread out, the blockbusters.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, the Avengers came out this year in April, and that was pretty early. There a couple of years ago, a couple of big movies like Logan came out in March. So they're pushing it back. I think that the summer season has gotten so crowded, everybody's looking to stake out a little bit of a piece of it. But the other thing is, of course, you want a runner, right? You want something to come out in about mid-May and go to early July or something, or mid-July, so you get a long, long run. And that's actually good for the theaters as well, because the longer a movie is on, this is a little bit of inside scoop on the Grandin and other theaters, the longer a movie is on, the more money that the theaters make. So the studios kind of make you pay more up front. So the theaters have an incentive to have a runner.
Yeah, so I see what you mean, because some movies aren't there very long at all. They're gone. I mean, as soon as they, I said, let me look and see when that movie, if it's still playing, and it probably wasn't a month.
Right.
And it's gone.
Yeah.
And so that's, I hate to see that happen, but that's the way the business works, I guess. Yeah.
One of many things going on. Yeah.
Well, what started the whole blockbuster thing? Because, in my mind, it's like the studio saves up all year long and they say, well, we're going to have this big blockbuster. But when did what movies really kicked that off, the whole concept?
It's really Jaws. It was kind of, in a way, a perfect confluence of things. Spielberg was really, really smart about the marketing. The movie had a $2 million budget, which sounds like nothing to us. $2 million, right? It's like the Austin Powers, right? When he comes out and he goes, I'm going to demand from the world $2 million, right? right? It's like, oh wow, whoopee, okay, we'll pay you the check. But that was a huge expenditure for the time, and so part of it was the marketing, and they also they were smart about the way they used that money. They did TV commercials. You guys probably both remember. I'm a big fan of trailers and sort of the styles of trailers, how they change. You know, like through the 2000s, we had to suffer through all those. In a world where one man and one boy, right?
Oh yeah.
Well, the ones in the 70s were this kind of like guy that was like really, really dramatic. I remember the one I loved was for Alien. He said, "In space, no one can hear you scream." You know, and then they had one for Jaws. I looked it up. I don't remember seeing it, but the tagline for Jaws was, It is as if God created the devil and gave him jaws.
Oh, I don't remember
I didn't remember that.
Well, they ran on TV, and people were running stuff on TV, so that's how they got the excitement. And then the other factor was Peter Benchley's novel was huge. And then I think the third factor was it was about summer, right? It's about the beach. So you had this kind of confluence of things that came together, and it broke all box office records for the money it earned.
It was, I think it was 1975, maybe June.
So, yeah. Right.
And when I saw it, HB, it took me about 6 months before I took a bath.
I'll tell you what, nobody, all my friends said, I'm not going in the ocean.
Right.
I'm only swimming in swimming pools. It did, and I think it even changed beaches, and it cut back the amount of people going back then. It affected a whole lot,
Well, the main stars of that, Brent, were any of them thrust from that movie into a bigger stratosphere of stardom?
Richard Dreyfuss was.
Okay.
I mean, he'd done a few things, but of course, then he later on did Close Encounters with Spielberg as well. So it kind of became his muse in a way.
Yeah. And then Roy Schneider.
Mm-hmm.
He was in it, and then the fisherman. That was
the captain of the little boat.
I know, I'm blanking out.
Robert Shaw.
Yes, Robert Shaw.
Yeah, he was good.
He was real good.
He was real good. The what I remember about it too, just at that time, was Steven Spielberg. You mentioned had that $2 million budget, and but there were always problems on the set. It was smitten. It ran almost 4 times over budget. Do you remember anything about that?
I did. I know they tried to use mechanical sharks, and I mean, if they had tried to use real sharks at first, they had to switch to mechanical. It's my remembrances of it are a little bit rusty, but yeah, it was not a happy set.
Without the special effects that they can do today with computers, I thought it was well done. I mean, even looking back, it was a very impressive movie, and still I get scared when I watch it again. Even today, it's that good.
Yeah, it's simple in a good way, but it's scary because of what you don't see, and then sometimes what pops up you're not expecting it. Right. So let's move from Jaws, which I probably started it all, like you said, 75. An obvious one for a summer movie would be Star Wars.
Yeah.
You ever heard of that one?
Yeah.
Well, stick around. But when that came out, was there a lot of hype about that? That was 77, I think. Was there a lot of hype that this was going to be the big summer movie, or did that kind of sneak up on people?
I think it snuck up on people. I don't have a good recall. Do you guys
I don't. See, it was a whole new type movie. Space and the characters and robots and intelligence like that was a whole brand new thing to moviegoers. So that,
Sorry.
That's probably Robert Shaw.
Yeah, there we go.
But yeah, so it's and it was almost like a Jaws. It was a new thing, and everything could spawn off of that, space related. Of course, we've had Lost in Space and all the stuff updated movies today.
Yeah. So that was a biggie. Spielberg had a hot streak. Indiana Jones. Did you have a favorite of the Indiana Jones genre?
I love Temple of Doom. I know people thought it was too dark, but that's sort of my sensibility. The second one, and in fact, I went with some good friends of mine that are still in town. Tom Wynn and Ford Kemper, and my dad. John Ferguson. And then what I remember most about that is like at one of the big scenes, when some special effect would go off, my dad would go, "All right."
Yeah.
My friends and I, we're all kidding him afterwards, like, all right.
Yeah.
He took his heart out.
Exactly, yeah. All right. That was one of the scenes.
Yeah.
Well, as a rule, do sequels work for summer movies? You know, you'll have that big summer blockbuster, and then, of course, it makes money, so they want to repeat the formula, rinse, repeat. But does it work always? Or do you know of any sequels that have worked?
You know, I think Superman 2 was a better film than Superman, and that was back in that era. I do think you're right, though. It's difficult because you've got to play to two audiences. You've got to give people something new, right? And then you've also kind of give them a replay of the thrills that they had before.
Right.
That's a really tough formula.
It's hard for that second, third movie to be a hit.
Yeah.
You know, like the first one.
And I brought a list in here of, you know, everybody's got an opinion and everybody's got a list, but of the top 20 summer movies. But one of them in the top 5, I think, was Back to the Future. Now, I never saw the whole Back to the Future, so I never saw it. But I know there was a Back to the Future 2 and 3. Any thoughts on that whole series?
Yeah, I love those movies, and I love the one, I think it's the third one that's set in the Old West. And they did, that was actually a good illustration of what we were just talking about, because you know, they set those characters. He would go back in time and meet these versions of Doc Brown or Doc.
Right, Holiday, or
was
it the old Western guys?
The older guy, right? That he plays with. That's the mad scientist.
Yes.
Whatever. I think it's Doc Brown. But anyway, so they would go back in time and you'd see like ancestors of these characters, and so it kind of gave them a chance to sort of replay the fun of the first one, but in different time periods.
Right.
And then one of my favorite movies, 79, we talked about it before, in space, no one can hear you scream.
Yeah.
What movie's that?
Oh,
Alien.
Yeah.
What did you see that?
You know, I was, I think I was 11 when Alien came out, and I remember being fascinated with it because I would see the commercials. And by that time, of course, I was like everybody kid in America, I was a space movie junkie. And I also loved horror. My family let me watch stuff way too early, so I don't think I saw that until it came out on HBO, though.
Now, you're talking about horror. Amityville.
Oh, yeah.
Amityville, what was it?
Amityville Horror?
Yeah.
Horror. Yeah, that was another groundbreaking movie for me.
It was.
You know, Gates of Hell or something, under the steps of this home or something.
Yeah.
And it changed that whole town, too, up there
You know,
in New England.
It's a great point. That was a big movie, too. And we don't think about it, but like, because now horror sort of comes out in the fall. There are a couple of horror movies coming in the summer, but you know, really, a lot of the early blockbusters were horror, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Poltergeist, Alien, we just mentioned, and Jaws is a horror film, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
I think
I
you call
would
it a
say,
thriller
yeah.
horror.
Halloween.
Yeah.
I think Friday the 13th.
All that's from that period,
there you
yeah.
go.
And I think probably when they started, you know, the summer movies were geared towards a younger audience and maybe broad comedy and action, of course. But now do you see more of a variety, Brent, in the summer? Are there more movies that are maybe not quite so much blockbusters, but they turn out to be nice big hits?
Yeah, there is. I mean, there's a little bit of everything coming out this summer. I was actually looking at things coming out, and although there is still sort of a natural season in a lot of ways. You get serious highbrow dramas come out in the fall because they're trying to get Oscar buzz.
Right.
You get horror movies in the early fall, like It Chapter 2 is coming out in September, which I can't wait for. It's one of my favorite
Chapter
films.
2?
I just seen the first one.
Yeah.
And I thought I would not be a fan of it. Totally changed my mind 3/4 of the way through that movie when it ended, and somebody said, well, there's going to be another one coming out. I was like, well, I'm watching it. I can't wait to see it. And I'm not a huge horror movie fan, but that one was so intriguing, storyline and everything. So they're supposed to be older, I think.
They are, right.
25.
Yeah, the book is set in 2 time periods.
Later.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. Is
Yeah.
that what it is?
Yeah, 17 years. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my! So it's coming out. Well, Part 2 is coming out later this summer. Is that what
Right,
you're
right.
saying?
And then, you know, romantic comedies come out in early spring, you know, that kind of thing.
There's
So there's
holiday
still a
movies.
season. They're trying to plug into what, you know, kind of what people are looking for at a certain time of year.
Yeah.
So summer is still escape films, but of course that could be kids movies, that could be thrillers, that could be comic book movies.
Right.
So there is a fair amount of range of types of films that come out in the summer, but at the core, the things we think about as popcorn movies are comic book movies and fantasies and things like that, because people want to escape, right? That's what you want to do.
Sure,
Escape.
that's what you do with a movie, yeah.
Take a break.
Yes.
Well, I was looking back at this list, and some years I'm sure are better than others, but one year it's jumped to my eye. It was 1980. I'm going to give you 4 movies that came out in 1980, and that's just top.
Okay.
Empire Strikes Back,
Yeah.
The Shining, Blues Brothers,
Wow.
Caddyshack.
Wow.
They were all out in the summer of 1980.
Wow.
Man, what a year, huh?
That's fun.
Wow. Yeah, and they were all great movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Well,
still-
yeah, a lot of catch lines from every one of them.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard a lot about the Avengers Endgame, and it's arrived, and it's kind of slowly receding. But is there anything else on the horizon that you've heard about for this summer? I haven't heard of any other big movies coming out this summer.
Well, Spider-Man's coming out, Far From Home, the second one, and it's actually related to Avengers. I think they've got a little bit of a problem because this is a minor spoiler, but there's some of the people. Well, this is from an older movie. Some of the people that get taken up by what's called the decimation, they get brought back, and so the Spider-Man characters were all turned to ash, and so they're going to come back now, and they're 5 years that have gone by, but they've stayed the same. So I don't know how they're going to handle that at Peter Parker's high school, right? Because he's going to be in there with some people that he's going to school with for years, and some people that were 5 years younger than him that now are his age. So I don't even know if they're going to acknowledge it, but that's the reality that they created in the Marvel Universe.
Okay.
Well, now with Avengers Endgame, I heard there was like 22 of these Marvel Universe movies.
Yeah.
Is that right?
It was the 22nd one, yeah.
Well, now I saw Iron Man, but that's it. Does that make me a shallow person?
No, but you got a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah. I thought the first Iron Man movie I thought was really good.
me too.
I love the suit, and you didn't get to see much of it though. It's kind of at the very near the end, I think. Is
Right,
when,
you're right. And Robert Downey's so great because he's such a jerk, right?
Right.
And he kind of had that reputation in real life. I understand now he's an upstanding citizen, right? But he was a
Right,
bad
but
boy as
you're
a
right.
kid, and it really worked well.
Yeah.
Miss Potts.
Yeah.
And I heard some good things about Ant-Man. Mm-hmm. Did you see that?
Yeah, it's funny. Again, it's a part of a subset of Marvel films that have become more comedies, like Guardians of the Galaxy and the third Thor movie. Yeah, I think it's quite funny. Paul Rudd is hilarious in it, and so is Michael Douglas. I never think of him as a comedian, but he's hilarious in that movie.
Oh, is he like a scientist or something?
He's like the original Ant-Man, and he's created the technology, and the younger Paul Rudd is sort of the new guy that he kind of gives the costume over to.
Ah.
Okay. Well, going through the list again, I
Yeah.
saw several comedies pop up. When Harry Met Sally, and this is not a comedy, but The Usual Suspects. That's a great movie. The surprise ending. But any other movies that jump to your mind as far as comedy that you've enjoyed through the years? What are some of your top favorites?
Oh my gosh, comedies! I love you've mentioned a couple of them. Kathy said I love Stripes.
Bill Murray.
Yeah, that was good.
I love Step Brothers. If you've seen the Will Ferrell movie.
No, but I've heard of it.
Oh, it's really, really funny. And a lot of Will Ferrell movies, actually. Anchorman, The Anchorman.
Ron
I've
Burgundy.
seen a
Ron
couple of
Burgundy,
them.
yeah.
That's in the top 20.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Remember that's the summer movie. That's cool.
Yeah.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
That's in the top 20.
That was. I've seen that thing about 4 or 5 times, and I love it every time. It's a classic to me.
I've never seen it.
You haven't?
Never have. Well, let me throw this one out. See if you guys have heard of it. It's called Ghostbusters.
Oh, yeah.
Gosh.
The first one?
The first
one.
Yeah. Have you ever seen it?
Yeah, definitely.
1984?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to me, that's always, whenever I walk by it on the TV, I'll stop and watch it. It still pulls me in.
This is kind of crazy, but I'm a Lego nut, and they actually have a very expensive set of their like firehouse base, complete with like a the Ghostbuster mobile and all that. It's far too expensive, but I remember when it came out, I almost pulled the trigger on buying it.
For you or your kids?
Yeah.
For me. You use the kids to justify
There
it.
you
Right. All right, kids.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, what about, we talked a little bit about horror movies, The Shining, Alien, Terminator 2, Judgment Day was on that list. I'm not a big Terminator fan, but did anybody see that one?
Oh,
Yeah, I love that movie. Yeah, it's
oh,
great.
The Terminator was just awesome movie. I love all of them actually. The characters and.
Well, if I had to pick a mom from a movie, a movie mom, I think I'd go.
Yeah,
Huh?
she's tough.
Great.
Yeah, she's tough. Yeah. All right. Well, then, what about action movies? Maybe a science fiction or something that you've enjoyed over the years through the summer.
I mean, I love James Bond movies. I'm kind of a sucker for those. In fact, I'm kind of annoyed that there's such a long wait for the next one. They've had, Daniel Craig said he wasn't going to be Bond, and now he is going to be Bond, and it's. But it looks like it's going to be good.
He plays a great Bond, too.
Yeah, I think so, too. He's dangerous.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he fits that part really well.
Now, he's done, what, 3 or 4?
I think this one coming up is going to be the 5th one, and Rami Malek, who played in Bohemian Rhapsody, is going to be the bad guy.
Ooh.
So, yeah, I think he'll be good at that.
Rate those movies with Daniel Craig in those. Rate those.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I like Skyfall the best, and then
Me
probably
too.
Casino Royale, and then Spectre, and then The Quantum of Solace was just not a good movie at all. And then I guess we'll have to see about the 5th one.
Okay, but Skyfall, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever seen that, HB?
I haven't. No, actually, I did see that, and it's very good.
It's very good.
Albert Finney, man, and he died like 6 months after that movie came out. And he is so cool at the end in Raw.
Yeah, he's the guy that.
Yeah, it's
caretaker.
Like, yeah, it's caretaker.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a good movie. Casino Royale is good. So yeah, those good movies. All right, and then let's see. Any other movies you can think of?
Well, I love summer movies. I will say, so like I'm a big Alfred Hitchcock fan, and when The Talkies came out, he had a famous statement. He said that too many people were cashing in on just taking plays and filming plays, right? And so he famously said, well, most of the movies I see nowadays are photographs of people talking, right? And I think that one of the problems with the bad summer movies, the kind of the things that are more style over substance, are that they're photographs of people talking with lots of computer-generated graphics.
Yeah, right.
And they forget, you guys were talking about Jaws earlier, one thing that made that movie work so well is that they used real objects, and
Right.
when you use all this digital stuff, people, somewhere in the back of their mind, they know that that's not real, and it makes you detached from it.
Yes.
I know they're getting better and better at it, and they're getting better at fooling us, but I still think that there's no substitute for like using real objects.
Well, a good movie, you've got to suspend disbelief.
Right. Yeah.
That's the sign of a good movie, no matter what. And that sometimes you're right with the CGI; it's just hard to do because it's going on.
Right.
And okay.
Now, one movie that used computers, and it really worked for me, and it was years ago, and I took my kids out of school because it was the first showing. I think most time first showing's on a Friday, but actually Wednesday.
Right, they've been pushing that back too.
Yeah, and this was years ago now, and it was a Wednesday. I took the kids out of school, and we seen the very first showing in Roanoke of Jurassic Park.
The new one, right?
The first one, right? The very first one, and that was so well done. It was computer generated. I'm sure a lot of it because there is no dinosaurs, but,
right?
But they sure made it. And also, I like a movie that the premise you can believe in. Mm-hmm. And the way that I think they had found some tree sap or rosin or something with this mosquito in it that had the blood of and they were able to generate and do things and create these dinosaurs so they could make a park or everybody could come and see them.
Yeah.
I just thought it was just a great storyline,
Seems logical.
It did.
That's right.
And I kind of got I'm more of a person that wants to believe what I'm watching. Although other movies are good too.
Right.
But that's listed as one of the top 10 summer movies, Jurassic Park, the original.
Right.
Well, let's talk duds. What are some duds? Can you remember any duds that were maybe overhyped or that came out? And
Spider-Man 3. The Sam Raimi movies, not the Spider-Mans that we're in now or even the Andrew Garfields, but the early 2000s Spider-Mans. The first one's good. The second one's pretty good. The third one is just a horror show. And it was so hyped. But actually, if you watch it, it's fun to watch it now because it's so bad. That's my biggest flop of all time. It's almost one of those that you're embarrassed you're watching it. You kind of don't want you look over your shoulder to make sure nobody's seeing me watch this thing. So I couldn't, show my face.
The movie Eyes Wide Shut.
Oh, Tom Cruise
was one of the worst movies to me. Now I know everybody takes things different.
Right.
We watched that, and there was such a crowd waiting to get in because it had just came to the theater, and we were wanting to tell everybody as we're leaving, no, don't see it. It's not worth it. That was just our opinion.
Turn back.
And there's a lot of movies that are like that for people. Some people love something and think it's a breakthrough movie. It changes your life almost, and some people Nah, not at all.
I think you're spot on. I like Kubrick a lot, but that movie, do you remember like half the movie was they kept doing this dramatic like piano, like dang, dang.
Yes, all the way.
It was so irritating.
And nothing really hit.
Right.
It wasn't anything, even when it ended, we looked at each other. I mean, my wife was like, what was that?
Yep.
It really was that bad.
I had the same reaction with my wife.
And I think, the producer, he died before the movie came
Kubrick
out.
did, yeah.
And thank goodness. I mean, no, I don't mean it. I just mean that because he didn't see it. He didn't see the results of the movie. That's what I mean. I wish nothing bad. But yeah.
Well, Brent, you see a lot of movies. Am I right?
I do.
Is that fair to say?
That's fair to say.
Now, are there any sleepers that you've seen coming out this summer? They're already out. That might be something HB and I have not heard about because it's not listed as a blockbuster, but a sleeper movie.
Absolutely. You guys mentioned Caddyshack and Bill Murray, of course, is such a big part of that. He's got a Jim Jarmusch movie called The Dead Don't Die, and the premise is kind of fun. He just plays this small town sheriff, and Adam Driver is one of his deputies. And I think Dakota Fanning is it's Chloe Sevigny is the other one. Anyway, but the trailer is great. It's going to be a comedy. Now Jim Jarmusch is known for being kind of artsy and slow, so it's not going to be something I think that's rapidly paced. But I can't wait to see Bill Murray play this sort of small town sheriff dealing with a zombie apocalypse. It's like it's going to be fun.
That's got everything.
Yeah, right. Iggy Pop's in it. Believe it or not,
really?
a zombie. And Tom Waits. There's a lot of old musicians in it.
Oh.
Yeah, they play zombies.
Really?
Yeah.
When do you think that'll be out? Or is that already out?
It's coming out in June. Yeah, that should come. And I'm betting that one will just come to the Grandin because it's a sleeper.
Like you're saying, it's called what again?
The Dead Don't Die.
The Dead Don't Die.
Yeah.
And Bill Murray don't lie.
Right. Exactly.
All right, I'm gonna put that on my list to see.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, as we wrap up, I know you're so heavily involved with the Film Lab. Give the audience a little overview of that because you guys just celebrated another class, I believe.
We did. We just finished our third year, and it's an after-school program, Tuesday, a couple days a week, and kids can come and they get every aspect of filmmaking. We actually get them to write a script in the fall and over Christmas, and then we select scripts, and then I think this year we shot 4 short films, and the kids wear all the hats, right? They're everything from lighting and sound to costumes. They have to have a casting call and go out and find actors, and really it's every aspect of filmmaking they get some experience with. And we've had some really, really great accolades in our first 3 years. This current year hasn't gone out into the festival circuit, but the first 2 years we've won a lot of now we're not allowed to call them Emmys, but it's the same organization that gives out the Emmys. They do a student level. And in the first year, I think we got 5 student Emmys from films that we made.
Stemmies.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, Stemmies.
Yeah.
But
Wow. So do they shoot those in Roanoke?
They do. In fact, they shoot them in the village. It's really funny. There's a
Grandin
in the Grandin Village. Yeah, because
really?
the class meets at the collab, right? And so we have this kind of running joke that almost every film has that alley in between graces.
Yeah.
I mean, just about every
They
movie
use
you
it.
see that the students do, there's some alley scene. So it's really great because they go out in the community, and the community's been so supportive, and it's really a good symbiotic relationship between the kids and the community businesses.
And that's learning wardrobe and makeup and everything.
Everything.
To do with,
They have to do everything.
Lighting and
And we were fortunate enough to land on a great director, Tyler Lyons. He's actually a professional sound person. So one of the things that makes student films stand out as not good is poor sound. And so all of our films have great sound thanks to his expertise.
very cool.
Well, and lighting too, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Wow, so those kids come from local high schools then?
They do, and some of them are homeschooled in all the different high schools in the area.
All right, so they learn it there, how to do it, hands-on, and then they move on to college or wherever.
Yeah, and we've had several kids now that are out doing this in college at North Carolina School of the Arts and VCU and places like that.
Well done. I heard Ian Fortier say the other day that his dream is to see one of those kids that went through the collab accept the Oscar.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And I think maybe I'm naive. I think it's going to happen one day. But you know that you guys are part of this scene too. I think Roanoke is in a cultural explosion right now. You know? I mean, you guys are a part of that. You represent that, your efforts and everything like that. But we still haven't had storyteller kind of used Roanoke as the backdrop.
as a backdrop.
So maybe we're planting seeds. Maybe one of these kids is going to tell the Roanoke story one day.
Bam.
There you go. I know there's been movies in Roanoke, through the years.
Yes, but
I know what you're saying. Using Roanoke
Yeah,
as the
because we've got this
backdrop.
great history, the railroad, and all that stuff. Great stuff.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. Well, I'll give you the last word, my friend. Anything else you want to highlight?
Just thank you so much for being here. I tell you, it's just it's a joy getting to talk to people about this, all the time, and I feel very, very fortunate.
Well, thank you so much. We really enjoyed it.
Thank you, and you're the best. I encourage people to listen to you, WFIR, Thursdays, Fridays, 8:30 a.m.
Yeah, and I'm on TV on Wednesdays, WDBJ7 at 4 o'clock.
Well, fantastic.
Well, what do you talk about there?
Same thing I talked about on WFIR, just the TV version.
All righty. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
Brent.
Tim. Thank you,
Yes,
Mark.
sir.
It's awesome.
Yeah, man.
I was happy in the haze of a drunken hour, but heaven knows I'm miserable now. I was looking for a job and then I found a job, and heaven knows I'm miserable now in my life. Why do I give valuable time to people who don't care if I live or die? Two lovers entwined pass me by, and heaven knows I'm miserable now. I was looking for a job and then I found a job, and heaven knows I'm miserable now in my life. Oh, why do I give valuable time to people who don't care if I live or die?
Okay, so I'll see you later, huh? I'll give you a call.